I completely agree. I definitely feel how you start and end your day can dictate how successful of a day that you're going to have or how positive a day that you're going to have.
Yes,
And that is important to take note of. What are
yes.
some common misconceptions about mental health that you've come across as a public health professional?
Well, I think the standard stigma labels, right? Like, um, people are just crazy, or people with mental health are dangerous, and just kind of those labels that are placed on individuals who struggle with mental health. Those are all really unfortunate. Right, to label people and automatically put a label on them, such as things like crazy, when really ultimately people do struggle with their mental health, and ultimately really need the help that only professionals can give.
I completely agree. Um, I definitely feel like even from my personal experience, I'm from Caribbean culture. My family is from Guyana, and so there's that stigma heavily emphasized in the Caribbean culture of just not seeking out resources when you are experiencing depression. It's kind of known as a taboo to,
Yeah,
express
yeah.
in that type of way. And it's difficult when you actually need that help, to talk about it because you feel like you're going to be shunned or your feelings are not going to be y- valid to some other people or
Yeah.
it's going to be invalidated if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
I
no one wants to be judged, right? Like, and I feel like that's the case, and especially, when you're successful, maybe you're a great lawyer or a real estate agent or a public health professional, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I struggle with anxiety, or I, take medication for depression. It's like, people have this, judgment that, that goes into it. And unfortunately, really, right, really, really shouldn't. So,
I completely agree. Moving on, what would you describe to be key mental health challenges for you personally as a public health professional and for students who are pursuing this
mm,
profession?
you know, I think so there's a few things, right? I graduated in 2018, so it's been a bit for me, but I'll speak to those who are most recently graduating. I think there's a loss of connection for those who were in school during the pandemic. I could say that firsthand, just because having an organization like Sisters in Public Health, it really thrived in the pandemic because people were looking for connection, and were looking for community, and so therefore they found Sisters in Public Health. But when I was in school, I would say the challenge is more so, and not to say this wasn't a challenge for this generation too, but just that like balance, right? I feel like the millennials are more the generation of like the self-care babies. Like, we're not staying in anywhere, working nowhere for long. Nope. 3-year commitment's too long for me. We've decided to have kids later. We've lived in much more of like, this is kind of about us. So I do feel like there's different challenges that we have for sure faced, but I also feel like we're also the generation that has said like, nope, can't talk to me that way. Nope, I'm not doing that with the job. Nope. It's just we're saying no a lot. So I feel proud of the generation that we're in.
I I completely agree as well. I feel like, especially post-pandemic, it allowed a lot of self-reflection for a lot of people and me personally to pick and choose certain situations that prioritize your best self. You
Oh yeah.
know, sometimes I feel like it's easy to fall into the go-getter mentality or the overachiever and kind of run
Yeah.
yourself ragged. And it's like,
Yes.
you can still accomplish these goals. It's just a matter of picking and choosing what suits you and fits within your availability, fits
Mhm.
within your capacity at that time, because there's just everybody has issues going on. And I feel like, and there's so many things even now in the world that's going on that is just impacting everybody emotionally to
Yeah.
where it's just so important to prioritize yourself, your well-being. How do you feel?
Yes. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So as a public health professional who wears many hats, and fulfills so many roles, how do you avoid burnout?
That's a good question. Oh my gosh, you're cracking me up. How do I avoid burnout? Well, I will say I'm a traveler. So I'm big on self-care. I love to travel, love to see the world, and I really do enjoy life. Like I have great friends. I've lived in several different states. I've had really long lasting relationships and friendships. So that's helpful for me. And, again, I'll say it again, is the travel, but avoiding burnout, someone that um, has as much on my plate. I don't know if you're able to really avoid burnout. So I don't want to lie to the up and coming public health pioneers. Um, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And I know that um, I have been given a lot. I've been blessed to be in the positions that I've been in. Really blessed to be able to bless and help others along their public health journey, along their life journey, right? Just as I have had mentors and sponsors and coaches as well along the way. Um, so I think it just kind of comes with the hat.
Mm,
And I tell people all the time that have these conversations with me that don't strive, don't make your goal to be the boss. Your goal should not to be the boss. It Find out what you're passionate about and what you love to do. Because when I created SIPH, I had no idea it would be a national organization. I didn't want to make it into a nonprofit when I first started. I had no intentions of doing these things. I started SIPH because there was a community and a need at my school. We
mhm,
then graduated and people wanted to keep meeting, and then we wanted to start a scholarship, and we wanted to do more and more, and then it became, this national organization. But what I started doing was what our chapter chairs do, what they host events and bring and do socials. I don't do socials anymore. I don't. I get the luxury to go and visit, right? But like, I'm 5 years ahead in a strategic plan on a daily basis. Like when we were in 2020, I was in 2025. Thinking about like what's happening then, and what's going to be the next for SIPH. So um, the hat that I wear, I will say when it comes to burnout, I don't know if I'll ever not be like to a degree of burnt out, right? But I do know that like this is great work, and I go to events and I talk at places, and I've had people stand up in the audience and say like, "Oh, I got my current job from SIPH," or me and my mentor connected through SIPH, or I met you years ago and like you got me on the path of public health, or there's so many rewarding opportunities that you get to hear at my level, but I do have to get that get filled up again. And I feel like that my fill up is going to the chapter level events, right, and meeting other ladies and going to taking care of myself with just kind of travel and fun and friends and happy hours and all the things that we like to do, right, in our free time. And it could be even something like I go to the movies by myself all the time, and the studio movie grill, order food, just literally, it's like nothing else exists other than me and that movie and my food at the time.
that's like the best feeling ever, honestly.